Good evening, everybody. Welcome to part 4 of our FTS Excel course, kindly hosted and run and put together by Sam for us. Evening, Sam.
How are we? You okay?
Yeah, Sam's very nervous tonight. He's an Everton fan, and when we put these, we didn't look at the fixtures. His beloved team are kicking off in half an hour. Is it 15 minutes, half an hour, against fellow relegation strugglers. I've told him just to accept that they're down, and anything else is a bonus.
We'll be getting beat by
if he starts looking sort of beads of sweat dripping down him later, you know he's got one eye on his team. Right, evening everybody. I'm going to leave you with it. As always, Sam is going to recap on the bits that he's done weeks 1 to 3, and then run through it. I will keep an eye on questions. Feel free to ask away. Sam, I'm going to pass it over to you. I'm going to put your screen in and I will disappear.
Cheers, mate. Thank you. Right. So, hello, everyone. Thanks for jumping on again. So, over the last 3 weeks, we've looked at various things such as cleaning our data, analysing our data, and then graphing our data, visualising the data. So what I wanted to do today was I wanted to put it all together, the last 3 weeks all together, and show you a piece of analysis from start to finish, from cleaning the data, analysing it, right through to visualising it. So what I've done, I've literally grabbed some data here from an old sheet, and it is totally random. I have no idea whether we're going to find any type of insights out of this data. But I think that's part of the fun of analysing data, just to see if there's anything in it. So what we've got league, home, away, as you can see. And then we've got some Betfair prices for home, draw, away. And then we've got the full-time result there, okay? Here, we've got stake. And that's a betting stake that we would be using. Because what I propose to do tonight is to do some analysis and see how we would move in terms of potentially, if we get time at the end, to put a bank in place and just see how the bank would have run in terms of the stake. If we get time, we'll look at that. Things that we're going to look at are things that we've looked at across the previous 3 weeks. We're going to do our cleaning. We're going to split our scores out. We're going to use an if formula to dictate how this field is populated. Is it a 1 a home win, X a draw, 2 an away win? We're then going to get our unique leagues. We're going to find out how many goals are scored home and away, profit and loss for home, draw and away. And then again, if we've got time, if there's any suggestions or any questions on any piece of analysis, we can look at that as well. Okay, any questions before we kind of get stuck in? Right then, let's get stuck in. So if we think back to week 1, what we did when we were cleaning our data, we wanted to double check if there was any training spaces at the front or at the end. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to use the trim function. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create 3 cells for us, and then I'm going to copy these, Control-C, Control-V, and then I'm going to use the trim formula that we used previously. Okay, so equals trim, and the text I want to use is this here. Okay. Same for the home team. Equals trim. I want to trim that. Okay. And again. Same for them. Okay. Okay. A little tip there for you. What we could have done is we could have, once we'd done the first column there, we could have dragged that across. D3 and E3. But again, you just got to be careful with those relative references that we talked about, which is going to come on later in the analysis. So what we're going to do we're going to highlight those 3 and we're going to double click and we're going to take that all the way down to the bottom. Okay. So just going to double check. Yeah, that's right. That's looking at what it should be. And that's looking at what it should be. And then we'll just do a quick random one. Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, happy with that. Okay. So if you remember now, what I want to do is I want to take these values. I want to take all these values because I know that they're trimmed and I want to paste them in our original data. So I'm going to go and highlight them, Control, Shift, and down. Okay. I'm going to copy. And then remember our paste values. We're going to paste our values over the top. Okay. So we now know that all of these competitions, home and away teams, are now exactly what we want them to be. They've got no leading spaces and no trailing spaces. Okay. So what we don't need these now, so we can basically just delete those out, and we're back to where we wanted to be. So great stuff. We've got some clean data there. Okay. Next thing I want to do, I want to see if we've got all the unique leagues. Okay, so have we got some duplication in the leagues? You know, potentially we could, like, let's just see here. If we look here, you know, we might have Bundesliga 2 dot. We could have Turkish Super League 1 with an E, something like that we might not know about. So what I just want to do, I just want to double check that all of the competitions are represented correctly. Okay, so if you remember our unique formula, so equals unique. And I want all of those guys. So again, Control, Shift, and down. Let's press Enter. Okay, so let's see what we've got. Looking through, everything seems, there's no duplication. Doesn't look like there's any duplication there. You know, potentially you could have English Premier League or you could have EPL listed. So ultimately that looks okay. So it looks like there's no, like you say, no duplication, Spanish difference there. Okay, so we're happy with that. So what I'm going to do, Control Shift down. I'm going to, where's my copy, and then I'm going to paste those values again. Okay, so I know now I've got all the unique league names, and now I can move on and I can start the analysis. Okay, so we want to split. So if you remember how we split the full-time scores out, so we want to split them out so that we can do that analysis on it again in a second. Okay, so if you remember what this was, equals text split. Okay, the text that we want to split, well, it's our first score. Okay, the comma, the delimiter that we want. So what we're saying is, give us what's before the dash and give us what's after the dash. Okay. So there we go. So we've now got 0 and 1, which is showing us 0 and 1 there, which is brilliant. Let's highlight those and drag those down as well. Doesn't want to play. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a filter on these just to double check if there's any errors in there and we've got scores all the way through. So, right. So I can see there that I've got an NA. So I know straight away that there's a score there that isn't correct. So let's have a look at that. Right, makes sense, okay? So this game here, for whatever reason, has given us an NA. So that could be the source data is not correct. It could be for some reason it hasn't copied over right. It could be you might be using a formula to get this full-time result from another sheet. But whatever way, for whatever reason, this is showing an error, and we need to go and fix that, because this will then impact any analysis that we do. Okay, so for the sake of ease and time, I'm just going to say that this was a 2-1 home win. Okay, so we've put a 2-1 home win there, and for some reason, Excel thinks that this is a date. So it's given us the 2nd of January. So I hadn't planned for this. So this is, this is good on troubleshooting, live troubleshooting. So again, if we go for the mantra that we've had going through the last couple of weeks, that if you just accept how I fixed this now without having to go into the intricacies of formatting in Excel, it'll probably save you a headache. So what we do in this scenario is, okay, and then we give it 2-1. So what we're doing there is we're telling Excel to give us that text in the cell and to not turn it into a date. So if we press enter, that will then fix it. Okay, so we now know we've fixed all of those. Okay, so far so good. We've now got our text split. Okay, we've got our teams. Now, I'm just thinking, realistically, we'd probably like to do on the home teams as well, a unique on the home teams and the away teams. But again, for time purposes, I'm probably not going to do that. But there could well be ones in here. I'll tell you what, let me just very quickly do this, and then we can see. So equals unique. We'll take all these out. So again, we're just looking to see if there's any that jump out at us to say, yeah, they're the same, but they're just ever so slightly different. Looking through. Nothing's jumping out. Yeah, this looks okay. Yeah, nothing's jumping out there. That's good. And then you would do the same for the away team as well. Okay. So let's just pull that out back to where we were. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we want to distinguish what the result was in a format that we can then reference further down the line with our analysis. So we used an if formula in a previous session to determine if this cell was bigger than this cell, or this cell was bigger than that cell, or they were the same. And we had it across 3 columns, if you remember. Now, that wasn't particularly pretty, and it wasn't particularly easy to read. So what we're going to do here is we're going to incorporate 3 different if formulas into one. Okay, nothing to be scared about. But I'll walk through this, and I'll walk through it nice and slow. And then what we're going to end up here is we're going to end up with a 1, an X, or a 2. Okay, which is going to be a lot easier for us going forward. A lot more time efficient, a lot cleaner, and a lot easier to read. Okay. So if we say if, so what we'll do is, so again, it's asking us for the logical test. Okay, so our logical test is K3 greater than L3? Okay, now if you remember, Excel wants us to tell Excel if that's true, what do you want me to represent on the spreadsheet. So we want Excel to represent a number 1 for the home team win. Okay. Now Excel is asking, well, what happens if that's not true? Okay. So what we're going to ask Excel to do is to do another if formula. So we're going to go if. This time we don't need the equals again, so we're going to do if. We're going to tab. Okay, so what's the logical test this time? Is K3 equal to L3? Okay. Okay, if that value is true, we're going to get an X. Because it's a letter, we've just got to put it in speech marks. Okay. Right then, so if K3 is bigger than L3, give me a 1. If K3 is equal to L3, so a draw, give me an X. But what happens if it's not that? So what happens if K3 is less than L3, otherwise known as a away win? Okay. Give me a 2. No. If K2 like that, L3. If logical test K3 is less than L3, give me a 2. And if it's false, give me a 0. You can put anything you like in there because that will never happen, because the way that we've set the logic up, it'll never be false at the end because one of the scenarios will have had to happen. Okay, so when you're doing anything multiple like this, you need to make sure that these brackets, so we've got 1, 2, 3 facing one way, okay, and then we've got 1, 2, 3 facing the other way, so to speak. Okay, so that just closes all of the formulas off. Okay, you've entered too many arguments. Here we go. If right, that's there we go. So if this is true, give me a 1. If this is true, give me an X. If this is true, give me a 2. Okay. So if we play around with this, and then if we were to say that this is now 2-1 home win, so if we come in here, change that to a 2, change that to a 2, which is a home win. We've now got home win. If we change that to a 2, it's now an X for a draw. Okay. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy these because I want to paste them as numbers. Okay, so convert them all to numbers because they're stored as text at the moment. Convert them all to numbers. Okay, that's great. And then I'm just going to copy this formula down. Okay, so quick sense check. If I just put a filter on that, we get a quick sense check. Okay, so if you look at the draws, yeah, looks reasonable. Looks like the formula's working right. 0 zeros, 3 alls, 2 2. Give it a quick sense check again on number ones. 3-0, 6-0, 1-0, 3-1, 4-1. Yeah, so we're comfortable that that formula is working correctly. So we've now got a reference point. We've now got a reference point to work with to determine what the results are. Okay. So that's probably the most advanced thing we've done in the last 4 weeks. Any questions on that? Is everyone okay with that? Right. This can be expanded to numerous numbers. I think it's something in the region of, I think it's 28. I I think it is. I might be wrong, but I think there's 28 of these you can put together in an if statement. So you can just keep going and going with that. There are some more elegant ways of doing it, but I just think that's a really good starting point to get your head around multiple if statements. Okay. Right then. So if we move into goals scored, okay? Goals scored. So if we're moving into goals scored, we want to count how many goals were scored, okay? Goals scored at home. So if anyone can remember that, we're looking to count. So we want to count the number of occurrences that the Japanese J League is in this home goals scored column. Okay, so if we change that now to goals, away goals. Okay, so if you remember, we're going to go equals count if. Okay, so what is Excel asking us for to do this? But it wants to know the range. Okay, so the range, so it wants to know the range, and I'm thinking, is this okay? So we want to know the range. Can anyone see what the problem is for this one? Anyone? Okay. What we're looking to do here, we've got 2 instances this time. So we're going to need to do count ifs. Okay. Criteria range 1 is going to be our leagues. So let's drill down there. Okay. Okay. Criteria range 2 actually, sorry, it's sum ifs. You want to sum how many things are in there. I'll tell you what. Equals sum if. I didn't write cell, am I? Oh, it's all going wrong. So, equals sum if. Okay, here we go. Right, apologies. The range. This is the range that we want. Okay. What's the criteria that we want? Okay, well, our criteria is the Japanese J League. Okay. Now we want to sum the range. So this range here of our home goals. Okay. So where Japanese J League appears in this list, give me the corresponding value from this list and sum them all together. Okay, so let's enter that. So we've got 15 goals. So here, Japanese League. Look in the home goals column, 15. We've got 15. So great, formula's working for us. Okay. So obviously what we want to do now is we want to drag this down to cover all of the leagues, but we're now in the territory of our cell references, and we need to make sure that Excel is looking in the right cells for us, because if you remember, if we were to just drag this down, if we put this one here, we can see, because we haven't fixed these values, these cell references, it's been dragged down and we're missing out on all of this data here. So how do we fix that? Okay, we know that C, column C and column K are the ones that are moving, So what we need to do is we need to fix them in. Okay. So column C. So if you remember, you use the F4 shortcut, or you can do Shift and $ in front of those, and then we want to fix our K reference as well. Okay. So now when we drag this down, okay. Now what we've got, when the French League 1 appears here, give me the away goals here. So what we can see here is that those references are now fixed and we're covering all of the data that we need. Okay. And if we just take the bottom one, for example, as well. So yeah, that's fixed up there. And it is now fixed up there as well. So it's incorporating all of the data, which is brilliant. Okay. We now want to do exactly the same thing for away goals. So for repetition and practice, sum if. Okay, what's our range? Our range is still the same, which is the C's. So let's put our references in. Okay. Because we know that we need C to stay fixed. Okay. Our criteria is the Japanese J League again. And this time it's L, column L. If we put our reference in there as well. So we've now got 12. You know that's now fixed. Column L is fixed. And column C is now fixed. Okay. So again, if we drag that down, oops. So, okay, if we look at this one. So again, that's fixed up there. That's brilliant. Just what we wanted. And that's fixed up there. Brilliant. Just what we wanted. Okay. Next, okay. What is the profit and loss of the home teams if we backed all home teams? Okay. So if you think about this now, what we need, what is it that we're looking for? What's our reference that we've created to easily identify if a game is a home win? Okay. So what we can see here is that we've got our ones here. So we know that all our ones are a home win, are representing a home win for us. Okay. So profit and loss for a home. Okay. So again, what we're looking for, how many criteria do we need this time? Okay. So we want to count the amount of times the Japanese J League appears in this list, and 1x2 is 1. Okay. So let's try and work this through. So how many times have the home teams won in the Japanese J League? Okay. So equals sum if. So we want again our range is over here. Okay. Fix this. Okay. Our criteria this time with the Japanese League. This time our sum range is let's count it. Sorry, count it. Criteria range 1, criteria range 2 is this time is all of these, and there is a number 1. Okay. There's been 5 home wins in the Japanese J League in this data. Okay, so we spoke, I think Ian spoke about this, how he uses count ifs. So what we've done is we've wanted to count the number of times that the Japanese J League appears in this list when the number 1 appears in this list. Okay. So we've just added an extra criteria and an extra range onto our count if formula. We've now incorporated it into count ifs. Okay. So we can drag that down. Okay. We're getting a value error. Okay. Okay, so we didn't fix these. There we go. So as we can see, now the reason that when I'm double clicking down, the reason that these zeros are appearing is because it's running that formula right to the bottom of the data set, which is here. So sometimes that's a kind of a frustrating part sometimes of what is considered a useful shortcut. So all I'm doing here, I'm just Control Shift down and I'm just deleting those off. Okay. So what we're going to do for profit and loss on the draws, that should be numbers really. What we can do is we can find the profit and loss with using the stake here if we have time. So what we're going to do equals count ifs. Count ifs. Our criteria range as it's been. Criteria range 1, Japanese J League. Okay, range 2 is our 1x2. And our criteria this time is x. Okay, so there's been 1 draw, and then same again. Equals count ifs. Range. Okay. Our criteria, well again, it's our Japanese league. We know that this is our range. And we know this time it's a number 2. All right. So again, we've now got some more information that we need. Okay. Drag this down. Okay. So we've now got some more information that we've got available to us. Now, quickly, if I was to just look at this, this is telling me that there's 286. The sum of home wins, draws, and away wins are 286. Now, theoretically, 286 should be the total amount of games that we have. 286, which is spot on. So we know that that piece of analysis is accurate because it's captured every game within the data set. Okay. Now, obviously, the bigger the data set, the more tricky that's going to be to get right, because you might have instances where if you haven't cleaned your data properly, there's going to be gaps in your data, and that's where you've then got to data and ultimately clean it. So you might as well clean it at the start and just get it done and get it accurate. Okay. So conscious it's 8:05. Right. So what we're going to do is, as I'm looking at this now, I'm looking at this and I'm going, right, what would I want to do here? Right. So there is 27 leagues, because we wouldn't include that. So there's 27 leagues. Can I get that on a graph? Well, I think to get that on a graph is going to be pretty, it's going to be rubbish. It's going to absolutely it's going to look rubbish. There's just no two ways about it. It's going to look rubbish. So what we can do, I know Ian does this, he has visualization where it's the top 10, and then he'll just work off the top 10 or the top 15 or the top 5, etc. So let's take the top 10 in terms of, I'll tell you what, why don't we look at goals scored, right? So we'll take the top 10 of home of a combined goal scored. Okay, so let's go total goals. Okay, so equals this cell cell 26. Okay, let's drag that down. Okay, then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put rank here. Now there's a formula called the rank formula, and how this works is, so we're just going to pick a rank. Okay, I want to rank this number, okay, from these cells here. All right. Okay, press enter. So that's telling me 26 is the 7th highest rank. Okay. And then if we drag that down, okay, so 37th. That doesn't work, does it? And the reason it hasn't worked is because we didn't fix our cells, which is silly on my behalf. Okay, so if we drag this down now, okay. So what are we looking for now? We're looking for the top 10 here. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to insert it on the cell here, put a filter on these cells, and then I'm going to ask Excel to sort them, in this instance, smallest to largest. Why has that not worked? Here we go, guys. There's live troubleshooting. Tell you what, we'll do the top 5 just for ease, because of granted time. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a visualization now. Okay, so to create that visualization that we're after, we want these top 5 leagues. and we want total goals scored. Okay, so if you remember now, what we'll do, we'll insert recommended charts. Yeah, that looks okay. Or we've got a bar chart there. Okay. So there we go. Here's our visualization for us. Okay, so we've got total goals. So we're able to see how this piece of analysis is shaping up. Okay. So yeah, looks good. Just what we wanted. We can see then potentially add some data labels if you wanted to. And then we also spoke about incorporating a second series of data. So we could have actually, so we've got total goals. We could potentially turn this in. We could turn this into a line graph, maybe, right? Line graph. And then we could potentially add some data. So we could then have extra lines on there. Okay. And then if you remember, you want to add a legend. Okay. So now from our graph, we can see we've got total goals, and then we can see how many, draws, away, wins. Actually, if we drag it over one more, we've now got our Premier League home wins as well. So instantly we've created a visualization there with 4 different pieces of data on that we can see how it's looking. Okay, any questions so far? I wasn't expecting some of those problems, but again, it's good to see that these problems happen to people who work with Excel for such a long time. You're still going to get instances where there's an issue with the data or something doesn't go quite right, and you've just got to do a bit of problem solving on the fly, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't always go perfectly, and that's something that you're going to have to do at some stage. Any questions on that so far?
John's got a question. Why did we start at 021 when counting the total goals combined?
021, right? 05. Let's have a look. 021. Why did we, when we start those combined? I'm not too sure, John. Sorry, I understand the question.
If you want to come back on that, John.
For the guys and girls that are on right now, in the time that we've got left, is there anything that you'd like to see? Is there anything you'd like me to run through again? Granted, there's been a kind of a lot covered over the last 4 weeks. No, nothing.
Click into very first cell where the total goals start. U3.
P21. John, brilliant. Yeah, spot on, mate. Yeah. So, should be there. So.
Good spot, John.
Yeah, brilliant, mate.
Can't get the staff.
Oh, listen, this has been a typical Everton performance. This, no, spot on, great spot, John. Yeah. So again, it does no harm just to go double back and check your work. Okay. So, any questions, visualizations? Formulas. Is anyone got questions about cleaning the data? Is anyone any questions at all? I mean, Ian and I were just saying then we haven't had any questions through from anyone. I mean, this is your opportunity, you know, to get a bit of a one-to-one, bit of a conversation going around some Excel that maybe you've been stuck on for a while. No.
Oh, you. That'll put a smile on your face.
Okay, no worries. Right.
I don't know whether you can do a quick formula for the chances of scoring it or not.
The chance of which?
Huh?
What did you say, sorry?
Look.
I can't see anything.
Everton penalty.
Yeah, but if they scored it.
Yeah, he has scored.
Yes. Sorry,
Yes.
I know you've come for something else. Right, so in the time that we've got left then, right, let's look at this stake, okay, and try and get a bit of a kind of a running bank on the go, right? Okay, so if we take them out, right, what we're going to say is we're going to say that our bank is £1,000 and our stake is £10, right? So what we're going to say is we're going to say that we are backing, what have you got? Home wins, right? We're going to back home wins. Okay, so what we want to do, right? So we want, and jump in here, Ian, if I'm making a mess of this. Okay, so equals if, okay, if M3 equals 1, okay, well, what we want to do, if this is true, we want to F3 we're going to have to minus 1, aren't we? F3 minus 1. F3 minus 1 times by our stake. Okay. If the value is false, we want minus D1. Let's see what that looks like. Okay. So we've got minus that. Okay. But what we need to do is we need, okay, so actually I just need to pick that up, put that there, right, okay. And then this cell here is going to be equals the sum of our starting bank minus this. 2 minuses isn't going to work, is it? So okay, just the sum. So we're going to have this. Okay. Everyone okay with that? So here, our system is home wins, okay? So if this is a 1, so this is why we put this formula into reference 1s, 2s, and x's. If this formula is a 1, sorry, if this cell is a 1, okay, well, what I want you to go and do is take our Betfair price minus 1 and then times that by our stake. If that's not the case, I want you to give me minus the stake, okay? So as you can see, let's say we change this to 100. Well, that then goes to 100. And this cell here is asking, take this figure and minus this figure from our start on bank. Okay? Let's change this back to 10. Okay. If we scroll this down again, so what's happened there? Something's happened, right? What haven't we done? We haven't referenced this to be absolute and stay still. So let's come back out of that. So we want D1 to stay the same all the way through. So we're going to keep that the same. and we're going to keep that the same, right? So let's scroll down here. Okay, that's minus 10. There should be another minus, and then here we should have a positive figure. Brilliant. Okay, 9.9. That's not right, is it? So it was 1 point. So that should be 0.99 and not 9.9. Why is that done that? It's because it's minus, isn't it? Let's see what happens here. 6.9, yeah. 6.4. 36. Well, that's not right, is it? What am I doing here, Ian? What's going wrong?
Let's have a look.
3 equals 1.
M3 equals 1. F3 minus 1 times D1. Right, so put a 1, before you do that, put a 1 in there. Put a 1 in that M. That's working out from there.
1 in where? In here.
M1 in it. Says if, go back on the formula. Right, what's the one that's telling you the result is M3,
M1.
isn't it?
Yeah,
M1. Yeah, right, so put a 1 in there. So that's right, 43, yeah?
Yeah.
That's right, it's right.
It's the minuses, though. It doesn't like them, does it? So, but it's not
Yeah,
9.
minus 10.
Yeah, but you're not winning 9.9, are you? You're not winning 9.
Yeah, you are for a tenner. You're only having £10 on it, 1.99.
Freaking hell, I'm thinking of it in points. Jesus, you can tell I've had a tough day, can't you?
You need to stop drinking that Foster's, son. All you need to add in there is a times 0.98 for the winners.
Yeah, I've had 3/4 of a glass. That's it.
Huh?
Right. So as you can see, we've got
Kids don't drink Foster's.
Literally don't drink.
This Everton game getting to you, son.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. So as you can see there, we've got a running total. Okay. So then if we add another, and again, this is just for simplicity purposes, is if we then have a running total of equals that plus that. Okay. And then as we scroll down, as you can see, this figure is that plus that. And then if we come down, tell you what, we're on to something here. Home wins. So as you can see there, we've had basically a big win. You know, we're up. So then potentially we could graph that. Yeah, we could graph that over time. So we could have, if we quickly have, so if we just have bank. Line. There we go. So we've got a line, we've got 276 games. We can see that was our starting point, our bank. You know, give this a title. Bank increase in pounds. There you go, we can see, so, you know, you can see that that's slowly going on, you know, dropped off there. After 150 games, it seems to have really picked up. And then you could incorporate, so then if we change this to say 50s, everything's going to jump up. Okay. So again, this is massively jumped up. There's our graph, which is massively jumped up again. So again, this is where you know, potentially you can forward and back test in terms of you can play around with the stakes, and so on and so on. So apologies, wasn't the greatest session I've ever done, so apologies for that, but hopefully you get the idea that within an hour, with a couple of hurdles, we've been able to analyze a set of data and been able to come out with some visualizations, get some statistics, and yeah, that's it really. And I think that's a really solid foundation for moving forward in terms of what we do within the world that we work in. I think, like I said in the first one, you know, there's 100 engineering formulas, there's 100 statistic formulas, and so on and so on. And you know, for instance, like, you know, Ian talks about Poisson a lot. I mean, look at that, Poisson. You know, there's all kinds in there that you will potentially use, and there's thousands that you won't use. So I just hope that what this last 4 weeks is giving you is an indication that you can analyze data, you can clean it, you can ultimately get better than where you're at the moment, and it's not that difficult. It really, really isn't that difficult. You just need to put a bit of time into it, like everything. You just need to put a little bit of time into it and play around with it. You must reach out if you're stuck, though. I've been there where you're struggling like mad. You're watching 9 different YouTube videos trying to get a nugget of information that potentially you could get by just sending an email, get an answer, you know. Use this resource. Honestly, it's no problem whatsoever. I'm so happy to help and hopefully upskill a few of you in Excel and get you to where you want to be. Because like Ian says, it is really important. There's no two ways about it. You know, you're gonna, going forward, if you want to find edges yourself, you want to analyze your systems and stuff, you can do an awful lot of the work in a half the time with filters by doing a few formulas and stuff. So hopefully you've found it useful. Please, you know, send some feedback into, you know, to the website, to the email address. It'd be good to get some feedback. Any areas that you think were good, were bad. And, you know, hopefully if there's demand for it, you know, we can do an intermediate course where we can take it on another level, and really dig down into some stuff that's really, really useful. Because what I've tried to stay away from with this is making it about the end product, i.e., oh, this set of data is 42 points up after 69 bets. I've tried to stay away from that and just to try and give you the basic building blocks of the formulas that basically will get you where you need to be.
Lee Wilson's asked a question. Are there any benefits to creating a drop-down list?
Massively in the right context, Lee, yeah. If you've got an idea where you want to use a drop-down list for something, give me a shout. It's sambocast62@gmail.com. So sambocast62@gmail.com. Just drop me an email, mate, and I'll talk you through it. Yeah, they can be unbelievably useful. Yeah.
I use them quite a lot. For inputting stuff, I use data validation quite a lot.
So let me show you how easy it is to create a drop-down list. Okay, so very quickly. So we're going to go to data. We're going to go here, data validation. We're going to say a list. We're going to tell it the list. So I'm going to whack that in. I'm going to close that off. Press OK. And look what I've got now. I've got a list of all of those. I've lost it now. So I've got a list of all of them. Now, we can create formulas that basically reference this cell. So we could have a table here that gives you results based on what's in here. So sum if XYZ, and this cell here it's referencing, well, that could be our drop down cell. Oh, very quickly, if I change this to here, watch what happens to this cell now. It'll change. See it change? Changed. So yeah, it can be really useful, but it's just got to be in the right context. And
the good thing about them is once you've set them up, it stops any typos and things and copying and pasting. They're really useful for.
Yeah, so. Exactly. And then if you ever get to a situation where you've got ones you want to add, well, you just alter this reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, and then that could even be, you could even attach that to your graph. But again, that's a bit more intermediate and stuff. Maybe we can cover at a future date.
Right. Okay, guys. We'll let Sam go off and watch his team play. I don't know whether he's seen the score, his little face. Bless him. Best of luck, Sam, for the next hour.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Unlike many, I'd like to see Everton stay up. I know there's a lot of people saying they'd like to see them go down. I'd like to see Everton. They've run the place like shambles, but I hope they stay up. I want to thank everybody for coming on. That is the end of this. As I say, depending on demand, what you like, if you like, comment, do all the stuff. Obviously, that tells us that people like it, and we can do more of this stuff. I will be back with a live session at the weekend, and I'm going to focus at the start of that, if people join me for that, on a little bit of my Excel setup. I actually had a question about a sheet I use. So I was just going to, because I tend to flick around and do it quickly, I'll talk a little bit more about that at the start of the session, but I'll have a look at the football and put a time up for that. Sam, I cannot thank you enough for giving up the last 4 Mondays and doing this.
No problem, mate.
Really appreciate it.
Absolutely no problem, mate, but really enjoyed it. And like I say, use the resource that's offering the help. Give me an email, drop me a line, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
And everything is up. I'm just going to put the address in again. Everything is up on the website from this. We'll add this file from today at the web address. I'm just typing in the chat box there, ftsincome.co.uk/excel-course. The previous 3 video sessions are up there. The data file from each week is up there. The 2 PowerPoints that Sam's done in weeks 1 and 2 are up there, and we will add this to we'll add this session to it and the data file. I'll do that this week for you, so that'll all be up by Friday. Yes, like and subscribe, please, and then we know to give you more. I'm going to end it here. Enjoy the rest of your bank holiday, and I'll be back with, as I say, back with the YouTube at the weekend.
See you, everyone. Bye.